Okay, thanks for the Pledge of Allegiance moment of silence. Please note that the meeting is being audio and visually recorded and will be uploaded to the county's YouTube channel in the near future. At this time, I would ask for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pay as it pertains to performance.
I'll make a motion. Or make such a motion.
Second. Do we need a motion?
Essentially for this, yes, you would. So a motion has been made to move into executive session, and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I suppose we should keep HR. The clerk has to stay, and obviously the voting members.
I have a question.
Back in session, I would ask for a motion to approve the December 11th meeting minutes, if everyone has had a chance to review them.
I'm reviewing them right now. I've finished.
Come join us. Are you going to sit there? Okay.
Thank you, Rose.
I move to approve the December 11th minutes.
Second.
Motion has been made to adopt the meeting minutes from December 11th. Commissioner Morrison, seconded by Treasurer Munskar. Is there any further discussion? Public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next thing on the agenda is part-time fiscal coordinator for the Treasurer's Office. Treasurer Munskar, do you want to bring this up?
Yeah, unfortunately I have to bring this subject up again. I'd like to continue to look for a part-time fiscal coordinator in my office. I tried using someone that's already on staff, and that hasn't worked out. So I'd just like to continue to look for a person to fill in.
Are you asking for a motion to essentially post again?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you explain the duties of the fiscal coordinator and what the need is?
Yeah, what they're going to do is they're going to help with the time so if one of us is off or when the workload is high, if there's only one person in the office, it puts a burden on the one person that's in the office at the time. And we need time to make our deposits. So obviously working with just two of us in the office, this has come to light that this is what it's like to work with just two people in the office. So again, for times to cover for vacations, for sicknesses, and mainly for the peak times of dog license sales and hunting license sales and the antlerless license sales.
Do you have an estimate of the amount of hours that you think this person is going to need?
No, without doing it, it's hard to tell. But my objective was to potentially have, like at this time of year, I would think from someone who worked from like 10 to 2 during the peak that we have now. And then that will help cover lunches.
Is that meant for like what kind of a stretch? I mean, is that 10 to 2 all year?
No. Again, just to cover the peak time. January and February will be the time for mainly the dog license sales, and then it'll taper off. And then in mid-June, when we do the hunting license sales, we do the landowner doe licenses when the people come in for those, which then leads us into the antlerless license, which puts another higher level of work on us. So it's basically, it would be in the doe license or dog license sales, it would be 10 to 2. In the time of hunting license sales, it would potentially be more hours. But then, other than that, would be for times of the cover time of I'll just refer to out of the office for whatever reason. So I don't think what I'm asking for is exorbitant.
So January, February, that's a really slow time for tax claim. I've seen Kim down in your office. I mean, can you use Kim during that stretch?
I tried.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work.
Why not?
because there's absences in the tax claim office. And we've tried to use it, and the hours that she's available to us is very limited. She showed me the calendar for the month of December, and she showed me the days that people are going to be off, and also there was a time that they're going to be covering planning and zoning, and there was nothing on that calendar to cover the treasurer's office. So it was just...
December is probably the busiest month as far as vacation goes.
Well, and that's another reason that I need this rather than trying to share a person that isn't going to work. I tried it, it's not working.
Well, I mean, if your reasoning that it's not working is that it's December, I mean, that's
Well,
everybody's going to take...
Are you going to guarantee me that January and February I'm going to have a person?
Well, yeah, I mean, they can
What
work
happens
with
if
you.
what happens if one of them is out? If she's out, if Phil's out, then I get nothing.
Okay, so in January and February, I guess what you're saying is that there's no way that two people can handle the workload in January and February at all.
I'm not saying it's that we can't do it. I'm saying that it's. I don't think what I'm asking for is unreasonable, and it would tremendously help for the time that we have the extra workload.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve the job posting? Or do we require
So moved.
Is there a second?
Am I allowed to second it?
Yeah.
I second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve a job posting for a part-time fiscal coordinator in the treasurer's office. Any further discussion?
Yeah, it won't be used exorbitantly. It'll be used as needed, as I've stated before. I've tried it. I gave the benefit of the doubt, and I tried using Kim, and it just doesn't work.
Would you be keeping with the 999 hours?
Oh, I think it'll be well under that.
It has to stay within budget legally, so...
Yeah, it would be well. I would expect it to be under that.
Any further discussion on the board? Any public comment? All those in favor of approving the job posting for the part-time fiscal coordinator, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
I'd like to vote against.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
The motion carries. I'm sorry, Judge, I didn't hear your vote.
I'm not permitted
Abstain.
to vote on this matter on the treasurer's.
Abstention, okay.
So
Very
I'm not
good.
abstaining. I'm not part of the board for that purpose, as I understand it.
I see.
Excuse me, may I ask a question? I have never heard of salary in that.
Salary? Oh, it's set by the union. It's a union
Which
position. What, I'm not sure.
I think it's like 1028 or somewhere in that range.
We won't know exactly what it is until we approve. I mean, we know what it is, I suppose, but it's not official because the
We have a
commissioners...
part-time person make it 1021 an hour.
Right, so that's...
So
that's what it would be under the current contract, but we will be approving a new contract in the very near future.
Okay.
And under that contract, it will be different.
Okay, I just didn't hear an amount.
Right. Thank you for the clarification. Next on the agenda is non-union increases for 2018.
Excuse me, are you a...
Oh, I'm sorry. The motion carried, Commissioners Kaplan and Morrison voting in favor, with Treasurer Munskard in favor, and a no vote from Commissioner Eggleston. On to non-union increases for 2018. The Commissioner's Office received several requests for increases from department heads and who are non-union employees, and we deliberated on that during executive session. That was the cause for the executive session, to discuss performance of said employees, and we weighed many options. I think the board has come to a decision on what they'd like to do. I want to apologize to everyone, though, for not taking a leadership role earlier in the year and looking into this more heavily in the fall, knowing that union negotiations were underway. I should have spent time thinking about how to deal with these kinds of requests, and I didn't do that, so we may need to pick this up in the beginning of the year, depending on what the board would like to do. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to deal with the non-union increases for 2018.
So moved.
Sorry, what is the motion?
The motion is to move forward with non-union increases for 2018.
And those would be 2% raise?
The 2% raise with the caveat that we would be looking into a study to perform a market analysis.
Okay. And is there a time frame on that study?
That time frame should be completed by the end of March. Employees should have some sort of resolution as to the performance of this analysis and this board's approval at that time.
Very good.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion was made to give a 2% increase to all non-union employees, contingent upon a study that would be completed by the end of March so that this board can deliberate on individual wages. This is not part of the motion unless the board wishes to make it such, but during discussion we also decided that we wanted to include in this analysis some sort of a performance metric, as well as have the implementation of such a plan to implement the wages by the end of this current board's commissioner's term. The motion being properly moved and seconded, I would at this point open it up for discussion from the board.
Go ahead. So just so everyone's aware, basically the intent, so 2%, and then when the study is completed, if there is suggestions for adjustments, they would be considered in effect by the end of March with the study being completed. That's the intent of, and then the adjustments would be evaluated at that time. So that we can have more data to work with rather than trying to make decisions today without adequate data.
Good. Any further comments from the board?
I just think it's important to note that with the both ASME and SEIU union contracts going so late into the year, it's been a challenge to gather all of the data that is being referred to in order to have this discussion properly. I guess from my perspective, the board is essentially asking for a few more months to do a more thorough evaluation with the help of a professional firm in order to have a serious analysis and response to the question of wages for non-union employees within the county. And I think that considering the circumstances, that's a fair request for a few more months in order to do that evaluation.
Further comments from the board? Then I would open it up to the rest of you. But please keep your comments under 3 minutes because we are already over time. Secretary?
Well, I guess I just have a question. Were any of these non-union people given sizable raises within the last couple, 3 years? I mean, is this just a blanket 2% on anybody, or if somebody had gotten a considerable raise? And I don't know that that's the case. I'm just questioning at what point you determine.
Sure. I think the idea here was to give everyone the same raise so that we could not be accused of being unfair towards any one particular person until, and then I believe hold people harmless, and so that when there is a suggested increase for a particular employee based on a wage salary adjustment study, then those people would individually be given raises, but we would have the impartiality of that third party doing the evaluation. And so I'm not sure whether some of these people got significant raises over the last couple, 3 years. But again, I believe the intent of the board in this motion was to give everyone across the board a 2%, as has been done for the last few years. Does that answer your question?
No, it really doesn't, because I think but you know, it really only is my business in that I think that you can't dole out raises of between contracts or between years, then on some non-union people and then now give them another 2%. I don't think that's fair to anybody, much less union or otherwise. And I'm not saying that it happened. I'm just saying if that's the case, I think you better look at this a little bit more closely on who you're giving the raises to.
Right, and I think that's...
And their performance.
Yeah, and I think that all of that was taken into account when the suggestion was made that we have an independent third-party data study on that. Which, by the way, we have already solicited several quotes and received one back.
And how much will that cost?
Keith, could you...
$2,500 for the study, and then another $1,500 in order to have policy documents put together that would help with an ongoing effort to do merit-based evaluations.
It's important to note that that's just the first quote. It's not necessarily the one that we would go with. It's simply at this point one option to show that we have made some progress. Attorney Farcine?
So would this comprehensive study be anything more than what information we already have from CCAP in terms of salary for non-union employees across the Commonwealth and other 6-class counties?
It would take that into consideration, but it would also take into consideration the management of budgets and people, so that they're making a comparison in addition to 6-class counties or even broader than that, counties across the state. It would also be taking into consideration in Warren County. I know that there is only one public defender, for instance, in Warren County. However, it would take into account the kind of responsibility that office takes, and as well as management of people and resources and that sort of thing. And again, it would also come up with some sort of a performance metric so that we're able to impartially evaluate performance.
Okay, so some third party is going to evaluate, and they may or may not be a lawyer, but they're going to come into my office and evaluate what I do.
Correct.
Okay.
And really, that's why we're at where we're at right now with regard to job descriptions and stuff, because some third party came in, talked to only a couple people, and that's why we're at that juncture. So.
Right. Well, this will be across the board. All non-union employees will be evaluated, or their position will be evaluated, I should say more specifically.
Okay, so to John's question, I wasn't aware. Will they actually talk to each individual, or is it just basically look at it from a numbers standpoint?
I believe that
I would assume that they would talk to their directors, the people that work with them, the people that evaluate them just on a regular basis. That would be my understanding of it. I think it should also, it's going to take into account a lot of the things that we don't have, whether it be population, the budget of the county, the contents of the office. For the public defender, I think that there's a little bit more straightforward data, in my opinion. But for some of the other offices, they're tacked on to other offices, or they have multiple responsibilities. For instance, I was emailing Tioga County asking them questions about how their commissioner's office is staffed. Their chief clerk makes $87,000 a year. The reason that the chief clerk in Tioga County makes that much money is because they're responsible almost entirely for the budget, and they're essentially the executive director of the county as a whole. But they're a 6-class county, so technically speaking, if I didn't know any of that other data, I could make the case that we should give Pam an increase. My point is that data has to be factored into any kind of a wage increase. For SEIU, for instance, with the negotiation that just happened, increases were made based on averages for 6-class counties. So it's important to note that the CCAP data is for about 12 or 15 of the 6-class counties in the state of Pennsylvania. That doesn't represent all of them. And the data that you have, like on a position, say probation officer, there are you have several hundred people that you can pull information from, and there is a lot of evaluation there. I think that for this independent organization, the idea is going to be to do a heightened level of evaluation for the directors, and which essentially all of the non-union employees, the majority of them are So there's a lot of things that have to go into that, I think, in order for it to be fair. That's just my perspective.
Further questions or comments from employees/public?
Will this establish a starting salary then if you're replacing a department head? How will that be set up?
There'll be a suggestion, whether they accept it or not, but that is part of the proposal, is doing a minimum, midpoint, and maximum for each position.
Anything else? The last thing I wanted to note is that I don't believe that in the past the non-union raises have actually come before the salary board. That was my understanding. So I wanted to be clear that that's correct. Right? Mm-hmm. I want to be clear that this Board of Commissioners is trying to move in a more transparent way and have this discussion in a public manner, not just going to pass it through the budget and make no note of it. So thank you all for your willingness. Judy?
Can I make a comment just on the 2%? You said this is like they had done in prior years. I totally understand what you're doing on the 2%. Prior years they did 2%, or if you were under a certain amount, if 36 cents per hour turned out to be more than 2%, which basically anyone's salary who equates to $18 an hour or less would end up with more doing the 36 cents as opposed to 2%. We have some low salaries around here, and 2% is giving some of these extremely low-paid people less than what they've gotten in prior years for increases. And I'm just wondering if the commissioners considered that in comparison to prior years. And I understand the prior year did that because that's what I think that union contract was doing also, where this is totally wavering from that.
But there's wisdom in that. Very good. Thank you. Obviously, the board is able to make an amendment to the motion to make a 36-cent floor.
I would like to amend my motion to 2% or 36 cents, whichever is appropriate.
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you very much for the clarification. The motion is amended. Further questions? Comments?
Just write down 2% or 36
All right.
cents.
Oh, yeah.
Just got my pen, sorry. Thank you.
Therefore, okay, to repeat, this will be the motion before us today is a 2% raise for all non-union employees, or 36 cents, whichever is greater. With the caveat that there will be a study completed before the end of March, a wage study that is, and it's also our understanding that the implementation of such a, if we choose to go forward with accepting the recommendations of the third party, they would be implemented within the current Board of Commissioners tenure, and that it would include a performance-based measurement tool. All those in favor of that motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. On to the jail. I'm not sure, this may have been a leftover from last week.
Yes.
So there's nothing further on the agenda. The next meeting is January 8th, 2018 in this room at 11:30. Yes.
All right, 2 positions.
Susanna for Dr. Toohey.
Yeah, I'll do them on Thursday. They're in that envelope.
Which envelope?
They're right there. The agenda. They were copies of them.
Sure.
Sent to both your emails.
We have a request before us to consider a promotion for Michelle Cantrell and approval to appoint Tammy Shippey to Development Disabilities Program Specialist 1. I would need a motion to amend the agenda to include these two. Do I hear a motion to include Michelle Cantrell and Tammy Shippey on the agenda for today's meeting?
So moved. I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Just as a point of order, the rate increase for a work release coordinator, didn't we deal with that already?
We dealt with it last week. It's left on the agenda incorrectly.
Okay.
So we skip that. Okay, the request is First of all, to approve Michelle Cantrell, from Children and Youth Social Services Aid to Children and Youth General Protective Services Caseworker 1. This would be a salary of $28,236 plus benefits of $15,290 for a grand total of $43,526. The total county dollars for this position is $7,225, signed off on by Mary Kushner. This is a full-time position with benefits. Do I hear a motion to approve the request?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Second request, effective today, December 18th, we're requesting approval to appoint Tammy Shippen to Development Disabilities Program Specialist 1. She has a salary of $43,000. It's a full-time with benefits. Benefits are $23,285 for a grand total of $66,285. Total county dollars for this position is $2,055, signed off on by Mary Kushner. Any questions?
Mary, is this a new hire?
No.
Retirement. It's a retirement. And
Okay.
This person's
A
taking
replacement? Okay.
And the other one was a vacancy, and that's not effective until January.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, the other one was I'm sorry. Since you don't have the benefit of having this piece of paper in front of you, Michelle Cantrell was effective January 22nd, 2018. But I assume that the motion was fine because the director will just implement it. Tammy Shippey, back to that subject. Any further questions? Motion has been made, correct?
No.
Oh, I would entertain a motion at this time to appoint Tammy Shippen as Development Disabilities Program Specialist 1.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is properly made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Yes.
Is it okay to post Tammy Shippey's position because she'll be leaving her position, so we'll have a vacancy?
Do I hear an amendment to the motion to appoint Tammy Shippey's, to post what position?
If the caseworker supervisor.
Caseworker supervisor.
Make a motion with the amendment to post that position to be refilled with her moving up.
Second.
Oh, bother. Okay.
I don't think anybody else's request, though, vacancy, correct? I mean, you did, but was that a new position for you? I guess that was one of the discussions that we had.
Yeah, no, it's just a replacement.
All right, so first motion here is to post the position of what?
Caseworker.
Caseworker, supervisor. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor of posting the position, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Now, rolling back to the appointment of Tammy Shippen to Development Disabilities Program Specialist 1, are there any further comments, discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right. Anything else to bring to the board?
There's an item on the agenda for public defender.
We've already
We've
discussed
already
that.
discussed it.
Okay. Make sure.
Okay. Next meeting is January 8th, 2018 in this room. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I know I've probably used all my capital today, but I just got word from a person that they're going to come here and fill the vacancy that I have, and I was wondering if you folks would consider, without a name until tomorrow, approving the position of clerk of courts coordinator to begin in 2 weeks. At a cost of $10.21. It was the job description. It's not a new position, it's a replacement. And I did it, and again, you don't have to do it. I'm just for expediency and so that we can get somebody in there.
In 2 weeks would put you into next year. You're saying January 2nd start date?
Yeah, or thereabouts. But until the position his hire was approved, I didn't want to presume a date. So, but I can have that all together. I just wanted to avoid maybe another salary board meeting or another meeting for a bunch of people who have a lot to do. So.
It sounds like we're lacking the information needed to vote on that. How quickly could you pull that together?
15 minutes.
Okay, could we recess for 15 minutes and move on to our work session? I'd entertain a motion to recess for,
No, then I'll table it till the next salary board. We're not gonna, it's clear that the job is posted. I will get the information.
Why can't we hire it at the rate that was posted?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the hiring of the person that...
point of order, can you amend the agenda?
I'll make a motion to include the Prothonotari's clerk, assistant clerk, or
Well,
Clerk of
this is
courts.
clerk of courts.
the clerk of courts coordinator position to the agenda.
Is there a motion? There's a second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Last item on the agenda.
So I'd make a motion to approve the hiring of a, what is it again?
Clerk of Courts Coordinator.
Clerk of Courts coordinator at the starting rate that's been approved by union contract to start at the beginning of January, and that the person be approved by the Prothonotary.
Okay.
35 hours,
I'll second that.
benefits.
Whatever the standard is.
Pam, could you read back the motion that you've heard?
Okay.
What's that job description?
Fill the vacancy
Yes.
and approve hiring Clerk of Courts Coordinator to start at the start rate by the union contract effective January 2018.
January 2nd, 2018, at 35 hours a week, union with benefits. Correct? Is that your motion?
That sounds right.
My second.
Very good. Just deliberated over the motion, so I'll not repeat it. Any public comment? All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, and I apologize but I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries to adjourn.